Hey, what's going on, guys? Mangumson here, bringing you a tutorial video on how to play Ironman. In this video, we're going to go over his bread and butter combos. We're going to cover his primary and his specialty skills specifically. Not everything in his arsenal is good, but we're going to go over the particular skills that I use to use Ironman effectively and efficiently. First thing you have to know when learning how to play any of these Avengers is that each piece of gear is actually broken up into a category. This one here is particularly a melee gear. This one focuses on light combo finishers and it focuses on signature attacks. The Iron Gauntlet is Iron Man's only light combo finisher, and he has two signature attacks, one being the thruster uppercut and the other one being the power dive. Next in slot is going to be his ranged gear. For my particular piece of ranged gear, it focuses on repulsors and plasma damage to stack status effects. Right after that, we have his defensive gear. This defensive piece of gear gives me an extra 30% evade speed and an extra 10 points of intrinsic energy when I perform a takedown. And lastly, we have his heroic gear. This particular piece of heroic gear gives me a static overload, which makes the arc field defensive systems now electrocute nearby enemies on top of what it already did with allowing me to shoot through my arc field and reflecting enemy attacks back at them. Now, getting into the particulars of Iron Man's primary attacks, I do like to use the hand cannon heavy attack. This is pushing the triangle button repeatedly to launch those repulsors out, which I have the plasma damage attached to, which is going to stack that status effect damage. And then the power shot is holding the triangle button, and that's going to break enemy blocks. The mutton shotgun is going to be a sprint based attack that's going to launch the opponent, and the slingshot is going to be an evasive type of move that's going to create that distance away from me and the opponent, so I can continue to launch repulsors at them, stacking that status effect damage. As you see here, the plasma damage just continues to stack on that enemy. Now, using the evasive moves and using the regular ranged attack of the repulsors, I can hit multiple enemies at any area on the map. Now, going into Iron Man's laser beam attack, the laser beam attack is a ranged attack. If you hold down the L2 button and push the R2 button, this is going to create a powered up laser attack, which is considered a ranged attack. The laser strike, the things that come from his hands when he's primarily on the ground, those are going to use melee damage. So the Whirling Tempest or any of the other ones that you use, the Photon Samurai, these are all going to be used melee damage. So this is why I like to have my Iron Man balanced. The Photon Samurai is a good way to get ads off of you and clear that 360-degree area. The Magnetron also breaks blocks. It's great for clearing all those little enemies down from below you. Iron Man's air superiority with his laser beams are precise to no end. And on the ground, some of his attacks can even be interrupted, but he'll still take the damage as he continues his laser assault. Most of Iron Man's most powerful ranged attacks are going to be his rockets. Now, by holding down the R2 button, you can launch that rocket out, and the Scorched Earth rocket is kind of broken. It does do impact damage and explosive damage. The Javelin is a fun little thing to do, but it just gives you that air juggle, and when you do the counterfire, the heavy dodge attack, it does create that space and create that heavy damage hit. The rocket strike actually breaks blocks, and it has a cool little animation attached to it to make the enemy go flying off into the distance like Team Rocket. Now, getting into Iron Man's specialty skills, the Arc Overload is the L1 support heroic ability. Now, at base it lasts for 10 seconds. When used, it creates a shock wave, so it creates a little bit of a shock when the enemies get hit by it. I like combining it with the Arc Field. This allows me to shoot my ranged attacks from inside the bubble. And also activating it with the defensive field, which allows all projectiles outside of this bubble to bounce back at the enemy. Now, upon using this puts me in a supercharged state for about 10 seconds. Like I said, it does increase damage. Other things can affect that to increase the time, but we're not going to get into that. But it also allows me to use my repulsors at whim, and also lets me use my lasers and my rockets, anything that costs intrinsic ability. As for those small 10 seconds, I have infinite amount of intrinsic ability. Now, Iron Man's assault heroic ability, the Unibeam, it breaks blocks, but it doesn't last for long. That's why I like to combine it with the precision refractor, which increases the Unibeam time by 3 seconds. And that, combined with the energy condenser, enemies defeated by the Unibeam will drop heroic orbs, as Iron Man kind of lives and dies by his heroic abilities. As the Unibeam puts out damage and the Arc Field creates defense. We're going to get into the last little bit of his heroic abilities, but they do a lot of things for him, and he kind of needs those heroic orbs just to get by. So with that, destroying multiple enemies with this Unibeam just creates all these heroic orbs for Iron Man to collect later, especially when playing solo. Now, the Hulkbuster is his ultimate ability. This is activating the L1 and the R1 button, and it basically gives you a second life. If you're low on health, it will refill all your health. By pushing the L1 button solo, you can get out of the Hulkbuster, saving any type of ultimate heroic ability that you had left for it. I like to combine it with the Disruption Pulse, which stuns enemies almost instantly unless they're big heavies, and the Energy Star, which reduces the intrinsic cost of my abilities by 25%. Now, I didn't go with the extra 10 seconds of keeping the Hulkbuster out because it kind of seemed like that was pointless, as it just goes off of intrinsic energy, and I really don't think that that works. But other things can affect the intrinsic abilities of the Hulkbuster, such as Thor's Warrior's Fury, which can also bring back up Hulkbuster's intrinsic ability energy to keep him out longer. So, getting into the mastery side of things, everything here is subject to the player's preference. Now, I'm not going to go into details about what I have for my mastery, as it fits my playstyle and the way that I like to play Iron Man. So whatever you like to pick here on the mastery page is completely up to you. This isn't a build video, this is just how to play Iron Man 101. So, I hope you guys liked the Iron Man video. If there's anything else that I didn't cover in this video, please leave it in the comment section below. And who would you like me to cover next as part of my 101 course in Marvel's Avengers? Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.